Hi, and welcome to this webinar today on the topic of the value of having a platform for a growing business. My name is Andy Campbell. I'm the Global Solution Evangelist here at Financial Force, and I'm delighted to be here with two fantastic colleagues, or one fantastic colleague and one fantastic customer. Firstly, Ruth Billen, who's the CFO at Bridewell. Ruth, tell us something about yourself.
So I'm CFO at Bridewell, a cyber consultancy business. I'm massively passionate about getting systems to do as much as possible.
That's great, thank you. And Gabriella, tell us something about your role.
I'm Gabriella. I'm a solution engineer within Financial Force. So I'm practically the product expert, and I'm the one that knows how to highlight the benefits of the product when we're presenting it in front of our customers.
That's fantastic. And we're looking forward to you showing us some stuff later on, which will be fab. So, to start off with, Ruth, Bridewell Consulting. Could you tell us something about who you are and what you do?
Yep, so Bridewell is a cyber consultancy business. We've just celebrated our 10-year anniversary in the last couple of weeks, which is wonderful. We are one of the fastest growing cyber businesses in the UK. So we've experienced 50% plus year-on-year growth. We've currently got about 200 employees. It's changing on a daily basis. 200 customers that we work with, and anywhere up to 250 active projects are on the way at any one point in time.
It's a fantastic growth story. It's really good. One element about the business is that you have had some investment from private equity. What impact has that had on you, and what is it that they're looking for in a business like Bridewell?
So Growth Capital Partners invested in Bridewell in March 2021. They really invested in the business because they can see the potential, but it's about how we take the business, grow it further within the UK and abroad. So we've just started a subsidiary in the US, so we're looking at how we expand over there. But they're really keen on investing in the solutions, the technology to support the business and to support that growth as we move forward, and getting robust financial information. Yeah,
so they want data, they want to make sure that you're reporting the right things, and you need a platform in place to deliver that.
Exactly.
That's cool. It would be useful for people to understand something about, your customers, the kind of services that you offer to them, the kind of work that you do.
Yep.
Could you sort of explain the kind of consulting activities you're involved in?
Yeah, so there are four main business streams with Bridewell. We've got cyber consultancy services, where we're providing support to customers going through, it might be ISO 27001, it might be regulatory requirements, and that's normally with your sort of critical national infrastructure type sectors. So whether that's utilities, whether it's airports, those businesses where if something goes wrong from a cyber attack, it can be life or death. So we support those sort of customers as they're going through their journey through accreditation, or they're doing transformation projects. We also offer managed security services. So we have a 24/7 security operations centre based in Cardiff, who monitor customers 24 hours a day to make sure that if there are any threats, we can deal with them promptly, to provide that sort of the backup and security. And then we also offer data privacy consultancy and penetration testing. So we have a team who will try and get into your system, see what they can find and help you fix it.
And hopefully they won't be able to.
That's always the aim.
Yeah, true. And the type of projects you're involved in, they may be sort of short duration, it could be much longer.
It can be anything from sort of a 3 to 5 day penetration test all the way through to a 5-year managed security service recurring revenue project. So you've got that real range of everything from a really short-term project to it might be a recurring or repeatable revenue with milestones that go on for multiple years.
Yeah, so I would imagine that your business has grown, as it's grown in complexity as well.
Definitely. And it's one of the reasons that GCP invested within the business was to help provide that structure to go forward and grow the business with the right infrastructure behind it.
Okay, so Bridewell's been through a bit of a journey over the past few years or so.
Definitely.
Why? Why have you decided to, or why did you undertake this journey? What were the problems that you were looking to address?
So when I joined the business just over 12 months ago, the business was really well run. It had lots of systems. So it had put in a finance system, an expenses system, a HR system, and the core platform used by the majority of the business was Salesforce. Nothing else talked to that. So for me, having multiple systems, you're having to enter data manually. A lot of spreadsheets were used. A lot of emails were sent around with data and reports on, rather than having it at your fingertips. So having one platform was really important to look at how we can take all the peripheral systems out and use Salesforce, which was the main platform used by the business for pipeline management, and obviously the Financial Force element from PSA was used. So how did we get everything in one place to remove all that data entry, spreadsheets, and manual input.
We don't like spreadsheets.
We do, but accountants always like a spreadsheet. But exactly, it's getting the data in the system that you can easily interrogate.
Yeah, you're after that sort of golden record that
Exactly.
you can trust.
One single source of truth is
yeah,
really important.
So you started to touch on it there. You've deployed, you use Salesforce as the foundation, but you've deployed some more capabilities around that. Can you tell us more about what you've done?
So within the core system, we use PSA for managing all the projects, so everything from timesheet recording to utilisation management. We then use revenue recognition, so that for me has saved a huge amount of time. That's been in for about a year and is one of the best things we've done. So how you recognise revenue across our complex projects. Some are milestone based, some are time and materials, some are percentage of completion. So being able to do that and have that really accurate record that's system driven, there's no judgment, the system does everything for you. We've then deployed in the last 12 months, we've deployed Exceed from a HR system. So that is core HR and performance we've put in. And we are deploying expenses. And then we've done the full FFA deployment. So everything from an accounting system is in Financial Force now.
You've had a busy 12 months on
Yes.
that. Yeah. There's some really good stuff. And all the issues around revenue recognition and compliance, as a CFO, I'm sure that's kind of critical.
Yep.
Gabby, it will be really interesting to get some visualisation of what it looks like, the solution that Bridewell's deployed. Could you show us kind of what it might look like?
Of course, Andy, my pleasure. So I'm logged in on the Salesforce platform at the moment as one of the consultants, Matteo, and this is the standard welcome page for HR employee self-service. In terms of navigation, the system is actually split down into 3 main sections. The main section here with the square icons, that's where information about me as an individual is maintained. In my personal tab, for example, I'm able to manage and update my personal details like the bank account, the details next of kin. All personal information you think is important for your employees to have access through the self-service app for HR. Employees are also able to keep track of their leave allocation. As Matteo, I can see my yearly entitlement here. You can see on the right-hand side how much is remaining from the beginning of the year. We can see the number of days left, and we see that's not an issue for Matteo at the moment, and we can actually see the evidence of the holidays he's booked in the past with embedded analytics we have on the page.
Yep.
So for example, we get to see an absence planner here along the top where we have the related menu tabs. Essentially, the absence planner is the HR leave calendar. It provides that forward-looking view. Therefore, as an employee, I can see everybody within my team and all of the time that they have taken off. I can see if my manager, for example, has any holidays planned. I'm interested in taking off the first week of March. So that's great. You can see that none of my colleagues have booked anything at that time. So that's one way that employees can actually use the tabs effectively here at the top to find information about themselves and their colleagues. Now, I've answered all of my questions, the queries about the team. No need to go to my manager, no need to call HR. Everything is here in the one-stop shop for employees. I will just go ahead now and just book that holiday I wanted to book for the beginning of March. So we will be doing that from the third section of our app with the quick links that we have here on the left-hand side of the screen. As you can see, there's lots of other processes I can do, but I'm very interested in just going and booking my time off. You can see here on the page, your holidays can be tracked in days, in hours, depends the unit of measure you want to use. I will simply just click on Submit Leave and done. That was all. This will now go into approval to my manager, to Linda Ruiz, and it's up to her to just approve that time off for myself. Hopefully, I'm a bit nervous about that because I know we're really busy. So next, I'm just going to jump into a different application within my Salesforce solution. And I can just go into that from the apps launcher here in order to jump straight into my project work. And I can see my PSA consultant workspace, so I can actually see some of the project work that's coming forward. As you can see now, I'm in my projects app. This is my consultant view. This is everything I see at the beginning of each day. Financial Force is actually bringing its own innovation on the Salesforce platform with these workspaces. Workspaces are practically dashboards that are designed for a particular role within an organization. Therefore, as a consultant, I have key metrics here relevant to my job and to my activity. And here on this side, I can actually see my holiday request that was submitted a bit earlier within my HR part of the application. The information has just flown from within HR, within projects. Meanwhile, I can see it has been approved by my manager, and the holiday is now in the projects app, so that the project manager knows that when he's going to start making assignments on future projects.
Brilliant, that's great.
Thank you,
So,
Andy.
as a consultant, Matteo, you've got everything you need in one place, which is fantastic. So, Ruth, you're managing the whole shed load of consultants. What has it meant for you having all of that information all on one platform?
There have been a real number of benefits. So the single source of truth is the main one. So you've got one platform with all the data on. But also when you're onboarding the number of people that we are, you teach them how to use one platform. Once you're in it, you've got the apps are really easy to use. Rather than teaching them how to use 5 different systems for submitting holiday or submitting expenses, they've got one system. And the aim is that they'll use that one really effectively so that you get the data in there right, and it is that single source of information.
Yeah, and I suppose it's not only easy for them to use, it's more secure as well.
Exactly,
obviously.
yep.
Yeah. I mean, you are at heart a professional services business.
Yeah.
And a key focus of that is making sure that you get the right people, right place, right time, right cost, all
Yes.
that sort of stuff. How's that been, how do you manage that?
So the resource planning, particularly things like the holiday management, are critical. So the integrations that we've put in place, utilisation is our key metric.
Yep.
That's what drives revenue, whether it's on time and materials or percentage of completion basis. It is about making sure we're delivering the right quality to the customers within the right number of hours that they've effectively purchased. So all of that PSA element, the project management, is vital to making sure we've got the right people in the right place and we're keeping our customers happy. So they want the right quality. So we're able to do all of that within the system.
That's great. And you want to make sure that you're not, sort of overburdening some consultants.
Exactly.
Because they're at risk of burnout, and
Yes.
you don't want too many expensive consultants sitting on the bench, I suppose.
It's exactly that capacity management becomes critical. So making sure we've got efficient utilisation across the board. We're looking to make sure people haven't used too much holiday early, or not enough holiday, to be fair, later in the year, and they're going to be out for a month, and that might impact projects. So yeah, all of that becomes really important.
Yeah. One other thing in the professional services space, there's a rather hackneyed term, this war for talent. The idea of making sure that you're providing people with the opportunities to do, to work on interesting projects and that kind of thing as well. I presume that's part of your employee proposition as well.
But that all comes from our sales pipeline that we manage as part of the Salesforce platform, which it was originally put in for. I mean, we've evolved significantly from where it came in just at that level.
Yeah.
But that clarity of the pipeline, being able to see those customers and those opportunities come through. But employee retention is always a challenge in this market. It's a growing market and it's very competitive. So the more interesting clients that we've got, the more visibility we can show to our consultants that they can work on interesting projects, the better our retention is.
Right, so you're balancing capacity, demand, finance,
Yep.
margins.
Yep.
It's a difficult job you've got, isn't it?
And cash.
I know.
Always. Being able to bill it as quickly as possible. So yeah.
It's a nightmare. So, Gabby, we saw Matteo, or Gabby/Matteo. We saw you earlier on looking at your basic information. Now I'm a consultant on site. What does it look like for me?
I'm going to show you immediately, Andy. So I'm still logged in my projects app at the moment as Matteo, and I told you a bit earlier, this is my personalized dashboard. Besides the important key metrics that you see here about timesheets and expenses, I also have a section down here that's keeping my employee satisfaction quite high, as I'm given the possibility to work on projects that are of interest to me. I have here a project for cybersecurity coming up, and this is requesting the exact skills I have for a customer that I have previously worked with, and I actually loved working for him. So therefore, I will just submit my interest here with just one click, so that the project manager can see it when he's going to start this project, and hopefully he's going to take me into consideration. Now, let's log into the application as a project manager and see his part of the world. So here I can see the cybersecurity project. I can see all of the association information with it, like the revenue that this project is going to generate for me, and a very useful Gantt chart that's breaking down the work structure for me. I want to have a look at the resource request on this project, and at this time, all I want to do is just staff it with the right people. Yep. In this case, I want to staff it with the best consultant I can find. I'm opening the resource request, and now the application is doing all of the work for me. So it's filtering through all of the criteria that I've put on the resource request. I need a consultant within these dates from over here that's based in the UK and needs to necessarily have the skills, Adobe and Salesforce admin certification. On the left-hand side now, we can see that all of the consultants that are matching all of that criteria. Even more, with the intelligent staffing feature, the consultants are even ranked for me based on the weightings that I've assigned to each of the criteria. Mm-hmm. So I can see Matteo here, right, top of the list.
Top of the list? I wonder how that happened, yeah.
He has the skills and availability. We can actually see the margin that he's generating to this project for me if I'm going to assign him.
Ruth likes that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? And even further, now I can see the interest that he submitted to work on this project. So it's a match made in heaven at this point in time. If I want to understand more about Matteo, I can actually change. I don't need to change the screen or go into my HR information because the information just flows. I can just go over here and I can see his credentials. I can see his availability. I can actually see the work in progress he has and how much time he needs to complete on those projects. I'm happy. I'm going to assign Matteo to my project. One last thing before I'm giving it back to you, Andy. I want to talk a little bit about our resource planner because I don't know, Ruth, if you talked with your colleagues, but it's something that project managers actually love, just because it helps them take a more global view on how they're planning their projects and see that capacity versus demand that you just spoke about, because it's practically bringing over all of the resources that you have available globally, within the dates, of course, that you search for, and all of the active or future projects for which you need to do the allocation. The color coding here on the page is quite self-explanatory. Green means they still have time. Yellow, they still have some white spaces. Red, fully booked, so being able to actually optimize it properly. Everything is in here, so it's at your fingertips to actually make your resource allocation in the most optimized way. For example, if we have a look at Matteo here, we can see all of the projects he's been allocated to, the numbers of hours, and even we can see the holidays he have submitted earlier within the HR app, and that was all brought forward into the resource planner. Thank you, Andy.
Brilliant. So that golden record, all that information in one place, and the cost information, which is kind of good when you're thinking about margins. So Ruth, you've had Financial Force in place for a little while now.
Yep.
I'm sure that you go through these business transformations. You always have teething issues and all that sort of stuff. But what have you seen, having been through that transformation, now coming out the other end?
We are really starting to see the benefits come through. The main one being actually we're not spending our time reconciling two systems. We're actually spending our time looking at the data, looking at the variances, looking at the margin by project. We've got that time and capacity to do that, whereas previously we were taking data out of one system, entering it in another and checking the two reconciled. Yeah. So it's that ability to spend the time doing value add items rather than just data entry. We are able to actually interrogate the data, identify where there might be projects that are overrunning ahead of time, so we can look at how we can pull that back and protect the margins, for example. It gives us that ability to have that time and capacity within the team. So we're seeing it across all areas, whether that's AP processing, we've put workflows and validation rules in, for example, all the way through to bank reconciliations. That element within the system is brilliant. There's some real practical things that have freed my team up significantly, and we're starting to see those benefits really come through.
So you've got process improvements. Are you seeing sort of reductions in errors and things like that, miskeying and all that kind of stuff?
Significantly. Even things like the holiday we were having, the admin team were taking the data manually from the old HR system and putting it in the resource planners. You might accidentally pick the wrong month and then you think you've got availability and you haven't. So that whole process is making a significant difference to just the basic things about how the business works.
Yeah. So, but taking it sort of one level further, in the role as a CFO, you're interested in some of the transactional stuff that's going on, but more importantly, the impact it's having on your business as a whole.
Yep.
So what's the business impact been of going through the changes that you have?
We've got much greater visibility quicker. So our month-end process is really fast anyway. but the wider management team now have the ability to see the data in the dashboards in real time.
Yeah.
So they're not waiting on a report from me. They can go in, they can see the data, and we can make better decisions, data-driven decisions, quickly. So you've got the data at your fingertips from one source of record, which makes a real difference.
Yeah, so you were using that reporting to give dashboards that, that
Yeah.
you've got your own sort of personal view,
Yeah.
other people have the same kind of things.
And we're working on those at the moment. That's one of the key areas that's still in progress. But we use the dashboards extensively for project management. We've got PSA dashboards around utilisation by individual, project status. It's all those early warning things of our projects overrunning, which projects are finishing this month and still have lots of hours left on them. All the dashboards are really configurable and allow you to tailor the view that somebody gets.
That's great. And if you're taking a forward-looking view, you
Yeah.
have to look at what your demand's going to be, what your capacity is
Pipeline.
going to be, all the pipeline, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff in one place. I like that. Gabby, could you sort of show us the kind of dashboards and things that Ruth's been talking about as a CFO, the things that would be of interest to her?
Definitely. Actually, that's exactly what I was preparing on the page to show while you were talking
Well,
about
there you
them.
go. Thank you.
So therefore, let's just see it in the application. You can see the CFO dashboard on the page at the moment. So you can see visibility around your entire business performance. So you can see everything that's happening from within the sales pipeline over here, that's coming from within Salesforce, within your operating expenses, within your finance data, actually being able to see your accounts receivable aging, if that's something that you're interested to be able to get that depth back from within your customers. If we want to be able to drill down even more in the type of analytics from a CFO perspective, if you want to be able to analyze your services business, you're able to see everything from within. What's your bill rate? What are your billings at this point in time? Do you have any backlog? What's the total utilization of your resources? And even more importantly, do I have any remaining capacity? What is that one? So you can actually start optimizing that capacity within your resources. Now, if we move into a more HR analysis of what's happening, you can actually view the performance of your employees. You can have different key metrics around here that can be analyzed, like what's the company's KPIs on headcounts, on joiners, what the attrition. We can even drill down more into the headcount and salary analytics if that's something that you want to do. We are able to break down the data. We're able to see the company information regarding what is the sickness within my employees. I can have a look across our projects and investigate maybe is there any particular type of work that's actually challenging my employees in the wrong way. So again, you can use that, breaking down into quarters, into calendar years, depends on how you want to do it. Ruth, you're right, everything is highly customizable. So you can actually bring forward in just few clicks all of that information that you need regarding your employees. Last thing I wanted to mention when talking about analytics is about being able to look at the pipeline and see if you have the right skills in place to actually be able to manage, if you have the capacity to actually manage the demand. So we have a nice analytics right over here that I'm trying to find on the page, which is showing you the resource availability by pipeline stages. So you have the stages that you maintain within Salesforce. And here on the screen, you can actually see what if all of the projects that I have active at the moment are going to run like that. Do I have the enough resources available based on role of the resource to actually manage with that demand? So I can see I'm doing well. I have enough business analysts, consultants, project managers, everything is in place for me. But if I want to be able to have a look at everything that's in proposal, so everything that's in the pipeline that's to be closed in proposal stage, so hence why the 75% over here, do I have enough resources? And actually looking at this, I can see, no. So that actually gives you enough, like very important information to go and have a conversation with HR, with recruitment, maybe hire some new people, some new contractors. Maybe you need to reskill some of your people just in order to stay on top of your demand. Back to you, Andy.
Cool. Lovely. Thank you very much. That was great. So, Ruth, you said at the outset, you're a growing organisation, and your PE investors were saying it's going well. We see great opportunity, but you need to have a platform for growth in place. Have you managed to achieve that yet, or how's that journey gone?
I think we've done a really good job at getting there, working with the partners, so working with Financial Force, working with Exceed to get us onto a platform that allows us to grow, and it will continue to evolve. So we're constantly looking at what else we can put within the platform, what other products within the remit that we can bring in. So we've got expenses coming in again, so that's within the platform. So it's yes is the short answer. We've got a platform now that works with us. Everything from you're able to segregate the roles within my team to make sure that people can't do things all the way through. So we're protecting the business all the way through to be able to report in a far more dynamic way that we weren't able to previously.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you started off in a reasonably good place.
Yeah.
But because the organisation's grown so much,
fast.
you needed to be qualitatively different from where you were, and you've now got yourself a platform to be able to move ahead. That's great. Thank you. So you've been through a very successful transformation. What were the keys to success for the people watching this today? You know, what made it so successful? What were the things that you would highly recommend?
I think setting clear objectives, what you want the system to do, and a clear deadline of when you're going live that everybody knows about and is realistic. I think getting executive level sponsorship so that you've got people who can say, yes, we need to dedicate the right level of resource to this project.
Yeah.
It is never an easy thing to go through these. It always takes more time and more effort than you think, so making sure you've got the right people on the project. And probably finally, never underestimate the UAT time. It is the most valuable thing you'll do.
Yeah.
It is where you'll find out how your processes fit with the system.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to put more time into that element to make sure that when you go live, it is as smooth as possible.
So how long did you spend on UAT, user acceptance testing?
Almost a month.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that's focusing on business issues and business outcomes rather than just does it do ABC?
Yeah, it's trying to do that real world testing of does it work for us? How are we going to have to potentially amend some of our processes to work with the system and optimise it? Because I think if you just take this is the way we do things and try and force it into the system, you'll have challenges. So actually, how can we improve our processes to enhance the controls? From a CFO perspective, I'm always trying to do that. How do I protect the business in the best way, and how do I optimise the technology to do that for me?
That's great. So if you were to give to people watching this today, thinking about going through and embarking on a similar journey to Bridewell, what piece of advice would you give them? One piece, maybe two if you're lucky.
I think it's having those clear objectives, knowing what you want the system to do and what you want it to achieve. Is probably my main tip. Be really clear from the outset with the project teams that you're working with. This is what we want from the system, so you all are working towards that common goal.
That's great. That sort of North Star.
Yeah, it keeps you focused when things go slightly awry, or it helps. This is why we're trying to do it, and this is what we're trying to achieve.
Great. Ruth, Gabby, thank you so much. It's been really interesting to hear your story, and really, really good to be able to see how it comes across and visualise it. Thank you very much indeed for listening to us today. I hope you found it of use and of value, and we hope to engage with you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.